Hey, what's up? It's your boy Lyle. I'm just doing a quick audio breakdown of a cartoon that's on my main channel. It's called the Mario Manspiracy. If you haven't seen it yet, it's about a minute and a half. Yeah, go watch that first so that this makes sense. Or you could watch this just completely out of context. I don't know, whatever. Maybe this will be interesting, maybe it won't. But I thought it would be a good project to show you guys because it's all done right here in good old Sony Vegas. There's no complicated mixing or whatever because I kind of did it on a deadline. Everything's just sort of in the box. But it is still a little bit dense. Like if I scroll down, this is kind of what we're working with layers-wise. So we're just going to take it scene by scene. If you do have headphones or something like that, I would recommend listening to this through headphones or whatever your best speakers are. You're probably not going to get a lot of the finer details if you're just listening to this through like an iPhone speaker or something. Well, whatever, your call. I'm just going to take it kind of scene by scene and we'll break it down. So here we go. Don't get me wrong, you look great, but man, not being able to have a burger, I could do that for like a few months maybe.
Yeah, well, the doctor said if I don't stop eating red meat, they're just going to have to chop it off, so I don't know if it's worth...
Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. It's basically a conversation, and nothing's really happening that causes a lot of sound effects, at least not on the surface. So tip number one, get yourself like some clothing rustling noises. I have this sound effect here. It's called grabs clothing scuffle. It's just a bunch of these clothing grab sounds. You could also record Foley of this yourself if you have a setup to do so, but I have about 3 or 4 of these sound effects, and I use them everywhere. So, like, if I just solo this layer, I think it's mostly on this layer. So, this is stuff that if it's not there, it's weird, but the goal is that people don't notice that something is off. It's a little bit, you know, you don't have to be super precise with this kind of stuff. As long as it's, you know, somewhat accurate. I mean, if you listen to this one layer flat, there's a lot of like weird harsh cuts, but that kind of just falls away behind everything else. But yeah, there's a lot of those. Burger. Little slap sound effect there. Okay, so this is like a little weird detail, but here you see on the fork when he stabs, he misses the salad leaf, and then he actually gets it the second time. So the first sound effect is like a clink. And then the second one is this sort of noise, and then he has the salad leaf. I don't know why I do stuff like that. That's the part of me that likes bright colors, does things like that. So these girls laughing, that was actually something that wasn't in the original audio or anything like that. That was just something that, I don't remember if Jeff or Kellen animated this shot, but whichever one of them it was, added these 2 girls in here. So rather than getting somebody to voice it, because I was kind of doing this like the night before, again, on a deadline, I just looked in the sound effects site that I use, and I typed in woman talking, and for some reason, the only sound effect of a woman talking was this.
I can't get this top on this cleaning stuff open.
Yeah, so for some reason, it's just a woman saying, I can't get this top on this cleaning stuff open. And then this is just like a sound effect of a woman laughing. So it sounds like the end of a joke if you put it together. Not that you really hear it behind everything else anyway, and that's intentional because it's weird if you just hear it, but it sounds like it's the punchline to a joke if you kind of play...
I can't get this top on this cleaning stuff open.
Or maybe not the punchline to a joke, but so I can't get the top, whatever. But that's in there, and it just kind of fades away behind everything else.
Yeah, well, the doctor said if I don't stop eating red meat, they're just going to have to chop it off, so...
Again, if that sound effect is not there, it's weird. You notice that it's not there, but you barely notice that it's there when it's behind everything else.
I don't know if it's worth...
So Mario runs up. There's like a fade in on his footsteps. That's this sound effect here. So the only footstep that's actually loud... Actually, I think I doubled a sound effect up here, and I put another footstep. Yeah, so it's kind of a louder footstep. It's 2 footstep sounds stacked on top of each other. Different ones. Or no, maybe that's the same one. Yeah, I think it's just to make it louder. So he runs up. He has this like knuckle cracking sound effect. I think that's sped up. I don't remember. And then I have this sound effect here. So this is just something that you don't really notice, but your brain does. It's like this low, bassy, like... It actually does... This sound effect kind of gets louder and crescendos. But yeah, it's just to kind of give it, like, some tension. And then there's, like, a release when he throws the hat. I obviously have some ambient noise here for the street. I didn't really do much to it. It's pretty much straight, but as you can see up here, I did splice in an area where you could hear the cars moving around, just so that, you know, it fit with the actual motion of the shot here. So I think that's really all I have to talk about this part. So this next part here where Mario throws the hat is a little more dense.
Wait, no!
All right, there is a lot going on here. Let's see. Again, this is the clothing sound effect. It's good for like everything, every little kind of sound effect, and it's usually not by itself. So that's Mario. Okay, so that's... I don't keep my shit organized at all, by the way, as you can tell. So whooshing sound when he throws the hat. Yeah, that's actually like the sound of a knife being thrown, but because it has that meaty slap, I kind of like that, so I just kept it. And this sound sort of masked the metally knife part of it, so it just sounds like this thing like slaps him really deeply in the face. And because the hat's a little like parasitic in nature anyway, you know, it kind of fit. Let's see what's going on here. What's this? Okay, that's Mario again. All right.
Wait, no! No!
So this kind of stuff, this is probably like the densest part of the whole thing. I wanted to contrast both with the visuals and with the audio, the goofy, cartoony Mario shit, and then like Mario diving down this guy's throat with kind of hyper-realistic vomiting sounds. So right here, I think this is my voice clip. So what that is me screaming to gargle water. I did like a real scream, and then I cross-faded it with me gargling water. I had to listen to this scream on headphones while I did it so that I kind of had like the same tone of voice while I was screaming. And then I cross-faded these two. I mean, you can hear the seams of it when it's alone, but again, this is like the densest part of the recording, so there's a lot to kind of mask that. What's this going on?
Oh, jeez, what the...
Okay, that's Mick screaming. This is... That's Mario. What do we got going on here? So that's the Mario sound effect. So that's like a sparkly sound effect. I typed in sparkle to get this. I reversed it here and then had it crossfade into itself forward. So it kind of goes as it's like filling them up. Then okay, so there's like water. There's a lot of extra kind of okay, so this was a really hard sound effect actually. And I kind of do this with this whole scene. So let's talk about this. So let's just mute this too. When you see something like this, Mario explodes into sparkly bubbles and then like becomes a liquid and goes down this guy's throat. So it's a little magical, but it's also weird and morbid. So this is one sound effect. It's like this very kind of 8-bit retro, or 16-bit, I guess, retro video gamey sound effect. And that on its own probably doesn't fit this too well. But then I have this. I think this is the sound effect. Okay, so it's a very like deep, thuddy, like bubble sound. So when you combine these two, it's a very like subtle thing, but it kind of cements that sort of thing together. And I guess that's what I'm getting at with this whole section, and you'll kind of see it more in depth with like the vomiting stuff. But when you don't have the perfect sound effect, you kind of have to create it. And if you're not mixing, which I didn't in this one, it's very easy to kind of blend them together. If you are mixing, mix the two sound effects that you're trying to kind of congeal the same way, or put them, bust them to the same. I don't want to get too complicated with this shit, but if you know audio, you kind of know what I'm saying. So let's get to the actual. Okay, so that is like a boiling kind of sound effect. Not to be confused with like the water sound effect here. So I combine the water sound effect and this boiling sound effect, so it sounds kind of meaty and lumpy when it's going into them. And then, okay, that's kind of the table falling over. So, yeah, that noise and a bunch of other stuff like that. Yeah, so that's just kind of the low end of the table falling. And then I have a bunch of these. Let's see what this is. Okay, so yeah, since he's kind of spazzing out on the floor, I actually stacked a couple of these sound effects. Probably a few, actually. There's probably another layer of it somewhere. So yeah, you just kind of... He's flapping around. He's flailing around. Okay, so I think there's maybe this sound effect. Yeah, sometimes you just get lucky with sound effects. I thought I was probably never going to find this one, but it's just the sound of rocks cracking. I don't know what it actually is, but I think the sound effect is just called crack or something. Typically, a sound effect like this is super difficult to search for. You kind of just have to get good with knowing what to type in. But this was kind of a lucky one that I just typed in crack and got like this stony cracking sound for the cement breaking behind his head. Where is that sound coming from? Is that... Okay, that's the music. I think that was actually... I think that was a placeholder sound, and I just kept it in there because it sounded good. I think that's just me going... or like some shit like that. Yeah, because that's a record take. Huh. Yeah, I guess I just left that in there because it sounds good. This was probably one of the more difficult sound effects to find. It doesn't even sound that good, but him like running his finger across his wallet again. Yeah, there's a lot of the clothing Foley. So there's like it's like a spring and a toaster sound, like a cartoony, goofy. All of Mario's sound effects are kind of cartoon, like Looney Tunes ass sound effects. And there's like a kind of a meaty thud to make it just sound a little bit better. He pops up off the ground. Yeah, it's like a literal punch. But again, you don't hear a punch just because all these things working in tandem kind of create like a... So, you know, it's like him springing up. Then he runs off here. These are the footsteps right here. All these like alternating back and forth things. I find that if you're speeding up a sound effect, it typically sounds pretty bad if you actually speed it up. So if it's something like footsteps, this is like from the same sound effect, but I kind of cut it so that it's like not, I didn't just squash it, you know? Like I just cut it and put the footsteps manually back and forth. I don't think that they match up with him running off, but the sound effect itself is funnier that way. And if you'll notice here, if I zoom in on these, you'll see that they kind of, like this one is louder, and then this one's slightly quieter, and then this one's slightly quieter, and this one's slightly quieter, and then by here, you're at like minus 20 dB. So I kind of did like a manual fade out on these as he was running away, and then, you know, threw in some goofy car crash sound effects. So this one skids to a stop, and then this has like a very like skiddy like crash sound. Okay, so this scene is probably the one that I'm least happy with. I would have probably, if I would have done this whole thing again, I would have done the audio before the animation on this one, because it's kind of a visual scene. I let the animation go first, and it's got a little bit of a pacing issue, but whatever. So here's like just kind of a standard like ambience of a neighborhood, like an outdoor ambience. All the way max volume, because there's nothing really going on here. Then it fades out to like kind of a creepy ambient noise and scary music. But if I take out the scary music, so I put like a weird like reverberated breathing sound. I think that's this. You can't really hear it behind the music and the ambient noise, which I think is just like an air conditioner. Might be a pitch down air conditioner. But yeah, you can't really hear it, but it kind of subconsciously makes you uncomfortable. So let's mute the music. So let's just mute the ambience too. So a creak for when he gets up off the bed. There's like that kind of like a low, it's like a carpet walking sound effect, but it's just kind of like a low sound. An actual carpet walking sound effect probably wouldn't have had the same effect. Sometimes you stretch what's realistic for the sake of what sounds good.
Yippee!
So, without the music here, I put the Mario, and that's a whoosh. Actually, these are two whooshes, because I wanted it to sound good across the music, and these are two whooshes right up next to each other, and without nerding out too much, I timed them so that they're in phase with each other. So, fuck, how do I explain this quickly? Basically, audio is waves of sound, so if you have sound going up and down opposite of other sound, it makes it sound weaker instead of stronger. So if you see how it goes up, down, this is going down, up, down, so I timed this going down with this going down. They're two different sound effects, that, and so when they're together, it's like I guess, a whoosh for each of his arms. I don't remember exactly what I was thinking for that one, but it makes it sound bigger, and because there's music behind it, I think that was necessary.
Yippee!
There's the Mario...
Yippee!
Yippee.
Yippee!
This, I think I squished this together, because I think it's the same sound effect, but I think he goes, yippee! And it sounds weird.
Yippee!
Yeah, so I just kind of squashed it together.
Yippee!
And,
Yippee! Yippee!
that's like the Mario Shine Sprite sound.
Yippee!
Before we move on, by the way, I got a bunch of comments being like, I was expecting Mario to fuck his wife or something. First of all, that's the most obvious joke in the world. And I kind of wanted you to think that here. That's why there's this shot of like clothing strewn everywhere. So you're like, oh, is Mario fucking his wife? It's the most obvious joke on the planet. And because I released this on the day Mario Odyssey came out, I kind of figured there was already going to be like 3 or 4 cartoons with that exact joke. So that's why Mario doesn't fuck his wife. Also, I think it's just weirder if Mario looks at his penis. Yeah, I said it. It's weirder. You don't expect it. It's strange and mundane, and I find that funnier. The fact that so many people were able to think of that joke just kind of goes to show that it's not really that original or interesting, because you can see it coming a mile away. What kind of hack? Anyway, whatever.
What was that?
Oh, the Mario possessed my body and then got naked and looked at my penis. So now the Mario is just sort of running around with a working knowledge of what my penis looks like. And that's the video game.
We're back into throwing upsville. So he runs back up. We have kind of the reverse effect of before, where I made each step sort of get louder. This vomiting sound... Oh, that's a frame. This vomiting sound is probably a little grosser than the other one, because he vomits up like a big slippery Mario. So there's like this sound. That's like a big slap for when he spits him back up. There's like this. I have like some chicken slime sounds in here. So yeah, there's a lot of like goopy, messy noises. What's going on here? There's that. And then, yeah, this is basically just like a cacophony of like splattery noises, because I wanted him puking up Mario to just be disgusting. Same vomiting kind of sound effects as before. I think this is mud being poured that I put over that. And then that's like water being dumped out. So I kind of, for vomit, it's like water and mud, and then you get like a human gargling over it, and it's just the fucking most disgusting sound in the world. Also, just weird side note, little side story. I'm really proud of like how realistic this sounds.
What was that?
The Mario possessed my body and then got naked and looked at my penis. So now the Mario is just sort of running around with a working knowledge of what my penis looks like.
I'm actually super proud of how real that line is. And I put it on I don't have like a proper voiceover demo, but I put it on my demo because I kind of trusted the person that was listening to it to like know about voiceover and possibly realize how impressive that is. But maybe I just weirded them out. Who knows? If on the off chance the person I sent that to is watching this, that's why it's on there. That's why I graced your ears with a hyper-realistic vomiting sound. And if you didn't appreciate it, I'm sorry. So this is kind of just a morbid extra, but when he falls over there, he has like a little splattery noise because he falls over in his own vomit. I like that. So Mario, of course, I just used Mario's actual. So there's like a slurpy sort of noise, but then I also balance it out by combining it with this sort of mystical, magical, sort of whooshy, sparkly noise. So it's kind of equal parts morbid and magic when he just kind of pops back up with all of his clothes back on. Again, with this, just more mud and water. So this is actually all one line, but this segment here, you see all these kind of stacked up on top of each other. That's just because this little noise that I make is super subtle, and it got completely lost behind the ambience. So I just kind of duplicated it. I don't like using compressors if I can avoid them. Like right now, my voice is compressed because I'm just kind of talking to you. I use this kind of compressed tone whenever I'm streaming or recording pregame discharge, or just something that is very on the fly. But if you can see here, you know, I'm kind of lowering and raising the volume on this manually. I think there's a little bit of a compressor on it still, but it's pretty much just straight vocals. I find it always kind of sounds better if you take the time and modulate it yourself. That's one of the reasons why these are all sliced up to shit. Let's see. What's going on here? I think this is probably the layer with like the clothing sound effects. There's definitely on this, like there's like a audible like thud because he's, you know, frantically like, whoop, you know, like reaching for his mouth. Again, subtlety, because I could have made a whoop sound effect, but I didn't. Nobody appreciates how fucking great I am sometimes. Here is a very, very quiet, it's the same sound effect as before, where Mario kind of does this this wiggly finger. And I think Jeff animated both of these. He does these wiggly finger things a lot. Unless he doesn't. Unless Kellen does. Or unless Kellen does when he's emulating Jeff. Those guys are too fucking good. I can't even tell. This is seamless. One last thing. When I go, and that's the video game.
And that's the video game.
I have all the other sound effects, including the ambient noise, cut out. So he goes,
and that's the video game.
And it's the only thing there. And then, as a big fuck you to myself and everybody watching, there's just this stupid, shitty noise. I also felt it fit this guy's facial expression. Again, I don't think I sped this up. I think I just smashed it together so that it would come out faster. Because I'm pretty sure that this sound effect was like a dragged out. Yeah, I think it might even be 2 different squeaks. But it's very, it comes right the fuck out. And it's basically a solo tracked squeaky sound with nothing to interrupt it. And it's the last thing you hear. And it just kind of puts a nice, like, stop to everything.
And that's the video game.
And then, music, cut to credits. Got the wonderful outro by Living Tombstone. And yeah, it's good.
Yippee!
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If not, well,